Today, we're diving into a classic short story by Bernard Malamud called A Summer's Reading. And it's this really incredible story about a young man, a lie he tells, and how that one lie just completely, unexpectedly sparks a new beginning for him. And that really gets you thinking, right? This is the big question hanging over the entire story. It's a tricky one, because it really makes you wonder what truly motivates us to change. Is it just pure grit and self-discipline, or could it be something else? So, let's meet our main guy, George Stoyanovich. He's nearly 20 years old, a high school dropout, and he's just, well, he's adrift. He's got no job, no direction, and he's really deeply ashamed of it all. So he spends most of his days just hiding from the world. Okay, and this right here, this is the key to everything that's about to happen. For George, this isn't just some casual wish. It's this deep, burning need. And this desire for respect, well, it becomes the engine that drives the whole story forward. So what does this life he's so desperate to escape actually look like? Well, it's a pretty monotonous loop, you know? He's cooped up in his room, listening to baseball games, reading whatever old magazines his sister brings home. The only time he feels comfortable is when he's walking the streets late at night, just dreaming of a better life, you know? A house, a girl, some money in his pocket. So things are looking pretty bleak. And then everything changes. One night, George bumps into a guy from the neighborhood, Mr. Catanzara. Now, this guy works in the change booth on the subway, but around the block, he's somebody. Why? Because every single night he sits outside and reads the New York Times from front to back. People see him as a guy who knows things. And boom, this is it. This is the moment. Mr. Catanzara asks George what he's up to this summer, and George, just on impulse, out of pure shame and that desperate need for respect, he invents a whole new reality. He says he's on this big mission to read 100 books to pick up his education. I mean, the difference between who he is and who he says he is, it's just massive. And the crazy part? The lie totally works. I mean, it works better than George could have ever dreamed. Mr. Catanzara, this guy everyone respects, he buys it, and he starts telling people. And all of a sudden, this complete fiction that George made up starts to have very real and very positive consequences. You can almost see it happening in slow motion, this ripple effect. First, the rumor starts spreading through the local shops. Then, neighbors who used to just walk right past him start smiling, saying hello. Even at home, his sister Sophie, who was always on his case, she starts treating him with a little pride. She even starts giving him $1 a week for an allowance, a real reward for something he never even did. And you can just imagine what this does to his self-esteem. He starts to soak up all this newfound respect, and for the first time in forever, George actually feels good about himself. He literally carries himself differently, walking taller, just basking in this feeling of being someone who matters. But, you know, you can't live a lie forever. The respect feels great, but it's all built on thin air. George knows he hasn't read a single page, so he starts doing everything he can to avoid Mr. Catanzara. He's terrified that the very person who gave him this new life is going to be the one to expose him and take it all the way.
And then it happens. The moment he's been dreading. There's nowhere to run. Mr. Catanzara is walking right toward him, and George can tell by his stiff walk that he's been drinking. This is it. The confrontation is unavoidable.
Mr. Canzana, smelling like beer, his eyes looking kind of sad, he just cuts right through all the BS. It's not angry or loud. It's just a simple, quiet, and absolutely devastating question. Name me one book. And of course, George can't. In that one moment of silence, the entire fragile world he's built just collapses. As Mr. Catanzara walks away, he leaves George with these haunting words. And you realize this isn't an I told you so moment. It's something much deeper. He's not there to shame George. He's there to warn him. You get the sense that Mr. Catanzara sees his own wasted potential in George, and he's begging him not to make the same mistakes. So the fall from grace, it's swift. And it is brutal. All that respect is gone, replaced by this crushing, overwhelming shame. And George's response is to just disappear. He literally locks himself in his room, shutting out his family, the neighborhood, everyone who had just started to look up to him. And he stays there for almost a whole week in the miserable summer heat, just stewing in his own failure, ignoring everyone. The shame becomes this physical thing, this torment. It's so intense that the story says each breath was like drawing a flame.
He is literally choking on his lie.
But then, just when you think it's all over for George, something incredible happens. The heat in his room becomes unbearable, so he's forced to go outside, expecting everyone to scorn him. But they don't. They're still friendly. And he realizes Mr. Catanzara never exposed him. In fact, it seems like he might have started a new rumor that George had finished all 100 books. It's just this amazing act of grace.
And that second chance, that unearned gift of respect, that's what finally pushes him over the edge. One evening in the fall, George suddenly takes off running to the public library. And there, with what the story calls an inward trembling, he goes to the shelves and counts out 100 books.
And this is how the story ends. It's so simple, but so powerful. After a whole summer of pretending, of lying, he finally takes the first real honest step. He sits down to actually become the person he pretended to be. The lie somehow led him to the truth. So we're left right back where we started, with this really complicated question. George only found the will to change because his whole community believed a lie about him. Does that make the lie okay? It leaves you with a fascinating thought. Maybe sometimes the person we pretend to be is the person we have the potential to become.